Just touching on some other key features of the software, if you've got a large amount of data, you can actually ship that data to us, again, fully encrypted, and we can upload it to the data center for you. Timeline-based recovery, you can recover your data to any point in time, which is a very powerful feature. Unlimited versioning. So this is important for our small business customers and particularly small healthcare businesses. Our software will in fact keep every version of every file for you. So if you want to access your customer database, for example, as it looked 2 years ago, that's not a problem. We can roll back and we can actually allow you to restore to any single point in time of your files, which is incredibly powerful. And also unlimited archiving. A lot of businesses use our solution as an archiving solution. So under HIPAA, I think there are requirements as to how long data needs to be retained. Mr. General Counsel, I think it's 7 years under the HIPAA regulations.
Yes. And drafts and
right. And with SOS, you can archive that data to our cloud. So what I mean by that is you can delete the data from your local environment, but we will keep it in our storage infrastructure until the time you explicitly tell us to remove it. And then one last thing I want to touch on before I move on to the Q&A section of the webinar is our Blue Sky support team, which is a really important part of why you would work with SOS. So with Blue Sky, it really takes all of the elements of having, say, a local IT provider, and we deliver that to you over the wire. So our Blue Sky team will actually meet with you in what we call a kickoff meeting, and they'll sit down, they'll analyze your entire environment, they'll analyze your business, and particularly where you have to look at, are you in compliance with HIPAA's regulations. They'll then help you draft the disaster recovery plan and provide that to you so that you're in compliance with the requirement to have that formal DR plan. They'll then install the software, configure our software, make certain that the backups are running smoothly for you, monitor the backups, and provide you with reporting. You've got 24/7 access to that team, and they're an extremely high-skilled team of elite support engineers that we make available only to our high-value customers. And we look at all of our healthcare customers as very high-value customers because of the complex requirements put on them by the HIPAA regulations. How are we doing for time? All right, so summarizing, why work with SOS Online Backup? Firstly, our technology. We're the technology leader of the space, and there's nobody who can come close to the power and security of our backup technology, nor our global infrastructure. From a price standpoint and a cost standpoint, the cost of using our backup solutions are far lower cost than competitive backup technologies like tape or disk, and a fundamentally better quality of backup service. And then delivery and support. That very consultative step that I was just talking about of having the Blue Sky team help come into your business, assess the risk that you've got, design a disaster recovery plan that's tailored to your business, and then do all the installation and monitoring of your backups is absolutely crucial. And frankly, backups are one of the most neglected areas of data management in modern computing life, not just in the healthcare sector, but particularly in the healthcare sector. And that Blue Sky resource becomes a phenomenal resource for you and for your IT staff to really make certain that your data is protected comprehensively and that you are in compliance with HIPAA's regulations. All right, so with that we move to the Q&A section in which we'd encourage anybody who's got questions to ask them. There's I think it's a question mark button that you can click in the software, and then you can type a question, any question here for myself or for Herb Kraft, our General Counsel and HIPAA expert, or Lynn Weber, our Medical Solutions expert. Also on the screen are contact details directly for Lynn. If you've got any questions or you'd like to talk to Lynn about our HIPAA solution, please call 310-878-2639 or email Lynn. Her details are there on the screen. And also we've got a special offer for all of our healthcare customers that we're running who attend these webinar series. If you've attended this webinar, not only will you get the Blue Sky solution bundled into the subscription that you get from SOS Online Backup, but we will in fact double the storage that you get for on the subscription. So if you are purchasing a 100 gigabyte plan, we would in fact provide you with a 200 gigabyte plan as an incentive to get you to use the service, to try the service, and really understand how simple it makes data protection and HIPAA compliance. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming, and we'll be here for the next 10 minutes to take any questions if there are some. Got a comment here from Stephen Conley saying, thank you for the webinar, it was informative. Our pleasure, Stephen. If there are any, do you have any questions that we can answer? Not at this time. And Stephen, thanks for interacting. Could you just tell us briefly about what is your business? Are you, which type of healthcare provider are you, for example? Are you work at a hospital or a small medical practice? Or just give us a sense of what your requirements are and how you're backing up today. Independent diagnostic testing facility. Okay, terrific. I imagine in that business a lot of data does get produced, and there'd be complex applications which we'd back up. That actually that highlights, I think, the importance of the blue sky solution, right? So Stephen says they're currently backing up with a NAS device and offsite with hospital EHR. Okay, so the problem with the NAS device is being on site, looking at the amount of data that you're taking off site versus keeping on site. Really, the best backup strategy is to have all of your critical data going off site. The NAS is subject to all the problems that you've got if, for example, there is a fire or if you have an electricity surge or, frankly, just disk failure. One of the biggest statistics that a lot of people don't realize is that every week 140,000 disk drives fail in America. So NAS devices being based on relatively cheap disk infrastructure are not secure. The other thing is cost. I don't know any of the details, but often NAS devices will run into the thousands of dollars, whereas an online backup solution can be as affordable as $100 a month. So, yeah, just some high-level comments. Stephen asks, is actual raw data required to be housed off-site or just the interpretation of the data? I don't know what you mean by the interpretation of the data, Stephen, but we don't store the raw data. So the data goes through a several-phase process on-site. The software will take the data in question. It will then compress that data and then encrypt it. So it wraps it up in an AES encrypted bundle and then transfers it over an encrypted connection, encrypts it again on the server side and stores it. So no raw data is ever being transferred to our networks directly from your premises. It's all encrypted with AES encryption immediately on site.
Is the local backup encrypted?
So Lynn asks a very good point. Makes a very good point. Is the local backup to the NAS device encrypted? I'd wager it's not, is what I was going to say. We'll see. But that's actually one of the biggest problems when it comes to HIPAA compliance for local backup is that nearly all local backup technologies do not encrypt, and therefore that backup is not HIPAA compliant. But we'll see. I mean, it's possible that Stephen is encrypting that data. Carl Powell has raised his hand. Carl, to ask a question, you can just type into the questions panel. So you can, I'm not quite sure how to answer the hand raise, but you can type a question out directly, and we can do our best to answer it for you. What we may be able to do, Carl, is we may be able to unmute your line, I'm being told. Are you there, Carl? Okay, we don't have Carl. All right, well, if there aren't any other questions, we'll move to wrap up this session. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We have seminars on different topics periodically here at the company, and if you've received an invitation to this one, you'd receive invitations to further future events. I really would love to have you attend, and I hope today's seminar was useful. Again, please do call in and talk to Lynn about the solutions we've got on offer and even getting a free trial. So you can get a free trial to evaluate the software, but if nothing else, just have a consultation with Lynn and she can really help you assess if this is a good fit for you and your business. And for you to look at, is your data backup in compliance? the first thing is really to make sure you've got a good backup for your business, because if not, you're living with risk every single day that could hurt your business. And then the second thing is to really make sure that your backup is HIPAA compliant. We've got, so Carl's typed out a question. Okay, great. Carl writes, I'm a small medical practice. I'm the only physician at the practice. I have electronic medical records and I change the hard drive every week for backup. I'm interested in online backup and security for sending medical records info to other offices. Great, Carl. Lynn will call you, Carl, to discuss that with you, and her email address is also on the screen. So if there's a time that's convenient for you, perhaps you want to email her. Otherwise, Lynn will call you right after this. And if there's anybody else who'd like to have a conversation with Lynn, and just like Carl, understand how to use our software, and really, I mean, Carl, that rotating that hard disk drive off site every week. One, the data's probably not encrypted, so that's probably not particularly secure. Two, that hard disk is extremely vulnerable and prone to failure, and then you wouldn't have a good backup for your system. Three, a wager that you don't regularly test recoverability from that hard drive. And again, remember that stat from IBM where 60% of recoveries using disk and tape-based backup fail upon recovery. So I really would recommend you talk to Lynn about evaluating our solution for your use. What you described there is the perfect scenario for using our technology. Great. Well, if there are no other questions, we'll move to wrap up the session. We'll keep the webinar open for another few minutes, so if anybody does have any questions, they can type them out, and they'll still be